My name is Niko Köbler. I'm from Germany. It's the first time I'm visiting Ukraine. And yes, I'm very happy to be here at the JEEConf. And I'd like to talk about Node.js on the JVM. How many of you know Node.js? Oh, not that much. I didn't expect that. How many of you know Vert.x? Also not that much. Okay. So for those of you who don't know Node.js, I will dive into it a little bit. What is Node.js? Node.js is a server-side JavaScript, and Node says from itself what JavaScript does has done for the web browser, Node.js is doing for the server, for the backend server. So executing JavaScript on the backend. And Node.js became popular with this asynchronous non-blocking programming model, and this is just a kind how to program Node.js with in a functional style with function callbacks. We'll come back to this later, and I don't want to discuss it at this point. And the main thing is the event loop. In traditional servers, you have a request, and for each request, you have a thread. And Node.js handles this with an event loop, able to handle multiple events, multiple requests, which only one thread, one event loop, and putting these events to a thread pool for executing it in another thread pools, and when the threads are done, then the event loop passes it back to the caller. And that's the point how Node.js is able to handle multiple requests at a time, or many requests, near to millions per second. Why is this important? Because network I/O or disk I/O is not that cheap as cache I/O. And if you ever have to put multiple requests to disk, to network, it becomes slow, your application. And why JavaScript? You all know this, undefined is not a function arrow. I give this talk also in a JavaScript user group, and the JavaScript users asked, why Java? With Java, we have nowadays 20 years of Java today. And yes, we have a proven infrastructure, good monitoring tools, can integrate systems, and lots of things, blueprints for every challenges, whatever. And now, not you, but I want to tell you about this brave new Node.js world. So, yeah, JavaScript is everywhere these days. Speaking JavaScript is the title of a book from Dr. Axel Rauschmeier, as a German guy, as me too. And this is pretty a good book if you want to learn JavaScript from the beginning to a deep dive, just as you like. And also the Node.js advisory board said, hey, JavaScript and Node.js is the language of choice for high-performance applications. So JavaScript is an upcoming language, and I think you have to deal with it in the future. In IT, we love to have laws, and there's this Atwood's law. Jeff Atwood is one of the founders from Stack Overflow, and he says any application that can be written in JavaScript will eventually be written in JavaScript. I don't know if this is good or not, but hey, it's a law. Okay. And Last but not least, this is the GitHub report from GitHub. And this was in the end of last year. The JavaScript repositories were the most repositories in GitHub, but this is only quantity, not quality. And also all these JavaScript repositories in NPM, as the Node Package Manager, similar to Maven for JavaScript, a Maven repository for JavaScript. There are around 150,000 packages, and I think 140,000 of them are just wrapper around jQuery. That's all quantity, not quality. Node.js on the JVM is all about integration. I often see this in the projects from my customers. There's some mobile application, a web application, whatever, talking to a Node.js application, because this Node.js application has been done by some web agency, and they only know Node.js, how to do it, and this Node.js application stores own data, has some own backend, whatever, but this application needs data from our enterprise repository. So how to achieve this? Node.js has to connect somehow to our enterprise backend. Most often this is done also via REST or some other protocol. But there's some data store, there's some data store. That's not what I want. That's not what you want. I think this is the way we want it. We have our web application and an integrated environment from our enterprise repository, backend servers, and integrated with Node.js. Is this possible? Yes, it is possible. And also, this scenario is possible. You have a distributed Node.js environment talking to your enterprise repositories. All this is possible thanks to Invoke Dynamic since Java 7, and the great Nashorn project. I think most of you know Nashorn. Who does not know Nashorn? Okay, few people. Nashorn is the JavaScript runtime on the JVM since Java 8. And it's based on the Invoke Dynamic feature. And if you don't know the Invoke Dynamic feature, it's something like guessing the type of the script which is executed at runtime and calling the objects on the JVM. Nashorn is a direct competitor to Google V8. V8 is the JavaScript runtime integrated in a Chrome browser or in Node.js. And Nashorn is fully compatible with ECMAScript 5.1. It's the current ECMAScript specification. ECMAScript 6 or ECMAScript 2015 will be released this summer. And Java 9, Nashorn, which will be shipped with Java 9, will support parts, perhaps fully ECMAScript 6. With Nashorn, it's possible to integrate Java and JavaScript seamlessly. That's great. It's a very great thing. I can show you that 2 slides later. And also it's possible with Nashorn to do shell scripting. And we have own language and API extensions in this JavaScript engine. Yes, I said it already. They are similar than car and carpet are. Oh wait, this is not similar. Or is it similar? Look at the script and who can tell me which line is which language? What's about the second line? New Java util array list. Looks like Java. Look at the first part, var list. This Java. Seems like JavaScript. Third line, HTTP create server, looks like JavaScript, okay. What about this? List, add, blue, green. JavaScript, Java. List is array list. It's a Java object. Or perhaps it's JavaScript. So, you don't know. And parallel execution in JavaScript. Okay, I can build a function and call it parallel stream, but this is pure language. Yes, that's right. So if you see it colored, it becomes more clear. The blue parts are Java code, and the red parts are JavaScript code. So, as you said, Nashorn has access to Java code, or vice versa. You can store references to Java objects in JavaScript. And you also can pass JavaScript objects to a Java function. So functional programming with Java is possible, thanks to Nashorn. Okay, taking this, some Nashorn basics. As I said, Nashorn has a command line client. I can access it from command line with JJS and execute any JavaScript as I like. And I can invoke JavaScript from within Java. I have a script engine manager, and then I can call the eval. I can evaluate files and call functions from within a file, for example. And this is the other way. We also saw this. We have a Java class and can call methods from this Java class in our JavaScript code. So if you go back, you saw the direct reference in the second line var list is new Java util array list. And on this slide, I have this, my Java class is java.type, my fully qualified name. This is because Nashorn knows all the packages from Java lang and Java util, and all the other packages you have to kind of import it with Java type. And then you have a reference to your class and can call the static method, pass parameters to it, and print the result. This is an example from Adam Bean calling a Docker host, listing all the containers, so you can use Nashorn also as a shell script replacement. And can use variables, and you can execute shell commands, and also you have access to environment variables from your operating system. So if you're ever dealing with bash scripts and always call your favorite search engine how to do loops and whatever in a bash script, forget it, use Nashorn for it. It's much more easy. Okay, let's talk about Node.js and the JVM again. Based on Nashorn, Oracle came up with the project Avatar some years ago, and I talked about it last year at Java 1, and 2 days before the conference, Oracle came to me and said, "Oh, we changed almost everything in our project, and 75% we deleted. I had 2 days to change my whole talk. And after the conference, Oracle did nothing with Project Avatar, and it's not the official statement from Oracle. Oracle says, "Oh, development is on hold." I think they're spending their money for something other. But have a look to the architecture of Avatar. Avatar uses multiple of the event loops I showed in the beginning, running in one JVM process, an integrated HTTP load balancer, and communication possibility through all these event loops via a shared state or a message bus. So we can communicate between each of these event loops. And also it had a model store API based on JPA and JDBC, so it was possible to do kind of JPA with JavaScript. Something more about the architecture. They thought about a T3 thin client. T3 is the native protocol from WebLogic server. I don't know if it's good at nowadays to rely on a proprietary old protocol, but this should be a possibility to talk to a WebLogic server and interact with it, calling remote EJBs in 2015. Okay, it's Oracle. So forget about it. Think about Nodyn. It's the RedHat competitor. It's also Node.js API on the JVM. It's developed by Project Odd. Project Odd is mainly focusing on research and development with dynamic languages on the JVM. They're building nearly everything about around JRuby. And they started, I think, the beginning of last year with the development of Nodyn. Nodyn is based on DynJS and not yet Nashorn. DynJS is also a dynamic script, JavaScript engine on the JVM. And yeah, it's quite similar, but it's slower and not that good. And implementation of Nodyn for Nashorn is on its way. I hope that the first release of Nodyn with Nashorn is coming in the next weeks. Don't know. And also Nodyn is using Netty for the asynchronous network I/O. And if you use this and look at the very high Node.js architecture, it's just a Node.js JavaScript API, process bindings in C++, libuv for async I/O and event loop, just any V8 JavaScript interpreter. Let's do this with Nodyn. You see the JavaScript API is the same. And the process bindings, which are in C++ in Node.js, are rewritten in Java and JavaScript. And for the async I/O and event loop, they're using Netty. And just any JVM JavaScript interpreter. With this Java and JavaScript part of Node.js, compared to the traditional architecture, it's possible that they can say, hey, we are using more JavaScript than Node.js does. Just a marketing sentence, but okay. And the interesting thing for Nodyn is coming with Vert.x. Vert.x is, for those who not know Vert.x, pretty similar the event loop programming model on the JVM with nearly every JVM language, Java, JavaScript, Ruby, Groovy, Python, Scala, Clojure, and Xylem. And In addition, Vert.x uses a distributed event bus, with which it's possible to distribute many Vert.x instances in your network and communicate through this event bus with your verticals. A running Vert.x program is called vertical. And with the use of Vert.x, it becomes possible to run Node.js applications distributed in your environment. These are two packages you need for this. The Vert.x to core. Then you have the event bus in your Node.js client, and a module for Vert.x for executing Node.js or Nodyn packages in Vert.x. And that's the point where I come to my demo. Beer for all? Nope. Beer as a service. And I will switch. And there we go. Before I come to the beer example, I will show you that it's possible to execute a Node application in Node.js. This is a pretty simple Node application with the use of Express. Express is the most popular web framework. And if I start this with Node, I get server. Hello JEEConf. That's exactly what I said. And this line, hello JEEConf, at the root of the application. And when I call /user, I should get hello John Doe. So this works. Not surprising, because it's Node.js. So we're calling the same thing with Nodyn. Just takes a little bit longer for starting the JVM. And at the root part, there's again hello JEEConf. And when I call again the user part, also this works. So I've proven it's possible to run Node.js programs on the JVM. Going a step further, talking about the beer. Imagine you're walking in the bar and ordering some beer, and the barkeeper should get noticed about your order. This is what this code does. In the first two lines, we have a simple require HTTP package for dealing with HTTP, and the require of the Vert.x2 core package, which I mentioned a moment ago, to deal with the Vert.x Eventbus within our Node.js application. Then we do register a callback function at this point with the subject bar on the Vert.x Eventbus. And there's nothing more, just a function passing a message. And we take from this message, from a body, the amount, and print to the console bar. Someone ordered some beers, and we send a reply to the caller with the wait time. How long does it take to make these beers? This is the part when the order arrives. And this is the part for the server and to put the order on the event bus. This is just stupid HTML or payload dealing. And then we have the Vert.x Eventbus send, the same subject bar, our amount. And we are also registering a callback function when the message is being replied, which we set here above, message reply. Then this callback function should be executed and simply print to the server how long does it take for our ordered beers. So now let's start our example. Our beer server is listening. That's great. And if we go and we're ordering 5 beers, let's assume that's a REST client or something else. And we get the response, 5 beers will be ready in 8.75 minutes. And again, that's the code which was executed. The request comes in. We're taking the amount from the URL and passing the amount on the event bus, the topic subject bar. Our listener on bar gets the function, the message with the callback function, and replies with the wait time, and response is written to the browser. So that's pretty simple. It's just one program. And I talked about distributed environment. Also, this is possible. And we take another example. This is just the web server part. It's exactly the same code as in the first part, but not this registration part. And we have a beer server. And this beer server in this example is also written in JavaScript, but not with the Node.js API. I could have done that, but I decided to use the Vert.x JavaScript API, and we're registering the handler in the Vert.x. Also the same. We're calculating the wait time and responding. And here also you can see dealing with Java classes from JavaScript within Vert.x. You can always call Java classes from your JavaScript. And now we try to start these both programs in a cluster. So this is what I'm doing here. Now I call Vert.x, not Nodyn, but Vert.x with our run module, Nodyn Vert.x, executing our module. And for this I have to give a configuration file in which is displayed which file should be executed, and in the cluster mode. Oh, great. I have no connection. Okay, try again. Looks better. Now Vert.x is starting up and tries to start a cluster. We just started one cluster member, so this is just our single member. And if we start another process, our beer bar server, now I can directly start Vert.x because I wrote the program in Vert.x API, not in Node.js API. Can directly execute the beer.bar.js, also in cluster mode. And Vert.x is starting and automatically adding our cluster member to the started cluster. Thanks to multicast and the whole Hazelcast magic behind, you have to do nothing, and you always have a cluster at your hand. Yep.
You start JavaScript languages and on different servers.
Yes.
Where is Java here?
Java is the runtime, the JVM. There's no Java code. Java is just the runtime, the environment. So we get here at the end, the bar is open. So when the bar is open, we can place our orders and just have a look to our first server. This was when we started the first server, and he automatically discovers the second member also. And now we have a cluster running. Well, let's try it again. There we go. And now trying to order like the 12 beers. And that's it. 12 beers will be ready in 21 minutes. Quite pretty long. Perhaps the barkeeper should work on his asynchronous behavior. And let's look on the console. Web server is printing nothing because web server is the console for the web server is our browser. But if we have a look at the backend, at the bar server, you can see, hey bar, someone ordered 12 beers, just do anything. And this is how I can run Node.js programs distributed on the JVM environment. No magic, just a few lines of code. And yeah. You can get this example in my GitHub account. There's Niko, be as a service, as shown in the slides. And yeah, that's what I wanted to show to you, how easy it is to run Node.js applications.
You said in the beginning of your presentation that we can start Node.js and Java on one machine. Can we start Node.js and Java, for example, Spring web application and Node.js in one and combine them
Node.js and Spring combined in one application?
Yes.
Yes, that is possible. I don't have this slide in my presentation, but it's possible. So this is the embedding part. It's possible to embed Node.js programs in every Java code you want to execute. This is our require lines, just a string, which will be evaluated later. And then we have a runtime. Here it's using DynJS, perhaps near future Nashorn. And here we have a Nodyn config. And at the bottom it gets interesting. So you have your runtime with your config, then you get a Nodyn handle, and then you can say Nodyn run, and your code will be executed in any standard Java application. So you can embed Node.js applications in any Java language, a Java program you want. no matter if Java EE or Spring or whatever.
So, you ready? I have two questions. How mature is Nodyn compared to Avatar, and how many of the standard Node.js modules do run in Nodyn? So, especially what about native modules?
I wouldn't say it's mature. It's under heavy development still, and I wouldn't recommend it to use in production environments. Not yet. Many of the NPM packages will be supported because Nodyn is using the original Node.js API within Nodyn. There's no reprogramming of the API. It's using the original code. And most of the packages will work. There are a few errors, maybe. You have to test. The package, sorry?
Native, which are written in native code, not JavaScript, but which have requirements on native libraries. How do they work in Nodyn?
They won't work. The native libraries won't work. They're just discussing the option for supporting Python for the Python packages, but that's not decided yet.
What about
Maturity Avatar versus Nodyn. In my experience, Nodyn is today a bit better than Avatar was. Avatar.js, the last available code of Avatar.js is around, I think, 1 year old. And Nodyn always uses the current Node.js API, so from the API point of view, Nodyn is always up to date with Node.js, or pretty near to Node.js.
Could you please tell me, did you make some benchmarks? What is faster? Is that necessary?
I didn't compare Nodyn or Avatar to Node.js, but I did a comparison between Nashorn, DynJS, and Google V8, and Rhino. And okay, forget about DynJS; it's too slow. The test made in the end of last year used a beta version of Nashorn 8 update 40, and I didn't use the how is it called? The guessing of the types, and at this point Nashorn was a bit slower than Rhino when starting up. With a warm engine, Nashorn was faster, pretty much faster than Rhino, but it's not at the same performance as Node.js. Nashorn still lags behind, and it always depends on the benchmarks you are executing. So maybe if you run some micro benchmarks, Nashorn is pretty near to V8, but in my examples, V8 was always much more faster than Nashorn.
Thank you. And could you also tell your opinion on the latest Google actions about Java World and something like this, about the deprecation of old Java API and their intention to kick out Java from their browser?
I must admit, I'm not in this topic. Sorry.
Could you please describe the general use case for using Node.js, JVM? Just curious. When we should use this stuff?
Most of the times, my customers or the projects of my customers are dealing with, we want to have a new cool website, web shop, whatever, a mobile application, but they want to have their enterprise data represented in the mobile application. And I don't know how this has been done in Ukraine or Russia. In Germany, there are some script kiddies starting with Node.js, and it's cool, and hey, we're fast, and in 2 weeks we have a new mobile application. And then the problems are beginning because you can't integrate it. And if I work in big enterprises and I go to the operations guy and say, hey, let's run a Node.js application, he will kill me. And but if I tell him, hey, let's run another JVM-based application, he says, okay, no problem. And that's the point where I can use this integration. Yeah, okay.
We use Vert.x in real life, and we have problem with shared data. If we run two vertical, if one vertical set data to shared data, second vertical cannot use it. It's because two loaders are used.
Yeah.
Do you know some some correct way to fix it?
The native Vert.x environment, no, unfortunately not.
So to resolve this issue, we convert our Java object to JSON and store it to shared data and restore it again to Java object on the other vertical. And we will try to extract Java object manipulation with storing to shared data in a different jar file and try to include it to each vertical. Is it possible this system will work correct?
I must admit I'm not that deep into Vert.x, so I can't answer this question. Sorry.
The problem.
Perhaps you should ask somebody who's more related to Vert.x development.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thanks.
Again, one question. You show us that you use Node.js and Nodyn, yes?
Yep.
But you didn't show us how did you manage to load npm packages. Do you need to install npm?
Yes, for using npm packages, you still have to use it to install Node and npm, so that you can install the npm packages. But then you can forget about npm and just run it in Nodyn. They're currently working at the solution for installing npm packages from pure Nodyn.
Okay, and second question, do we have any comparison table or some special resources where I can see which popular Node.js native packages planning to support or not supported, something like this?
No, there's no overview, unfortunately. But if you want to know, just go to the mailing list of Nodyn, ask your questions, and a few hours later I will get an answer from the development team.
Okay, thank you. And the last one, does Nodyn team has any roadmap or plans when they are finish transition to Nashorn?
No. The development with Nashorn started in the beginning of this year, and it's stuck a month ago, and I had yesterday a Twitter conversation with Markus Lagergren from the Nashorn team, and he would love to see Nodyn running on Nashorn, and perhaps there's some support, whatever, I don't know, in the near future. I hope so.
And do you know what's the team size of Nodyn?
The team size?
Yep.
2 people.
Okay. It's the same as for JRuby, correct?
Almost the same. It's Bob McWhirter and Lance.
Okay.
Yeah. There was one question behind.
Thanks for your presentation. It was really interesting. I have a question regarding this whole event-driven thing. When you name the event handler,
yeah,
how do you group them? Is there a possibility to run out of names, or because it's in a global namespace? Well, for example, in Vert.x, I start multiple vertices with lots of handlers, and each handler has its own name. Well, can you group them somehow?
No, don't know.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry.
So you have told us about how JavaScript is adopted to Java, and do you have any solution? Have you heard about any solutions of Java injected into Node.js, not just into Nashorn?
Do you want to integrate Java into Node.js? Really? Okay.
Yeah.
There are several packages at npm dealing with exactly this approach, and they're ending up calling the Java native interface, which is not fun at all. But that's the only solution. Running a separate JVM process on the machine. You're running Node.js and using the Java native interface to pass calls to the JVM. That's not fun.
Okay, but it looks like it depends on the level of integration, because in case you need to integrate something simple from JavaScript into Java world, yes, you can do it. And in case you have more complex JavaScript, so probably it's better to integrate Java into Node.js. But yes, maybe it's not fun. Thank you.
Most of the pure JavaScript, let's say developers, don't want to integrate Java into their Node.js programs. But I know many of the Java developers want or have to deal with integrating JavaScript into Java programs. And that's a possible solution for it. Okay. If there are no more questions anymore, I say thank you for your attention. Have a good time.